Hey, you said the other day, we played the sound of it, that you heard Jalen Milroe should be getting, 5, 6, 7 snaps a game from the Seahawks in the first season as a rookie. What does that look like to you? How do you think that works?
Well, I think he's too good of an athlete to keep off the field. And I think in red zone situations, when you have a very cluttered field, you need precision and you need athletic ability. It's like defending Lamar Jackson, in the red zone. It's hard. Or you're facing Andy Reid in the red zone. I think it takes special players to score in that red zone. A George Kittle, somebody that's a Mike Evans. Sometimes physically, there's just so many bodies in there. And I think Jalen will be a top 5. I mean, he's maybe the best just pound-for-pound athlete I've ever seen at quarterback, including Lamar Jackson. So I was told that they're going to use him. They didn't draft him to just sit for 2 years. And Darnold's more athletic than Geno Smith. So I think the Seattle quarterback position will look different this year. I like Darnold more than Geno. Both, when hurried, can make too many mistakes. But I think the quarterback position for Seattle is now top 2 or 3 in the league in terms of just sheer athleticism.
You are one of the few, Colin, that right now, even post-draft, have the Seahawks as a playoff team. Most of the national voices and most of the power rankings and even Vegas has the Seahawks finishing, odds-wise, tied with Arizona at the bottom. Why are you looking at this roster as a playoff roster?
And I tend to be more critical of local teams. People say, "Oh, you're an LA homer." I'm on. The Lakers are a mess right now. I try to go the other way. Generally, I try to be, because I don't want to be a homer. But I think their defensive. I think since John Snyder took over the drafts, he and Pete, it was a little bit of a wrestling match, and he threatened to go to Detroit. And Snyder's a top 4 or 5 personnel guy in the league. He just doesn't miss a lot. I mean, even the fullback draft pick, I didn't get it initially. And then I was talking to somebody in the league, and they're like, "Oh, no, this is how Snyder's going to use him. He gets Jalen Milroe. He gets the fullback." That's all red zone stuff for John. And I just think he drafts well, and I think it takes about 2 bad drafts or 2 good drafts to change your roster. And I think San Francisco, I see Kyle Shanahan. I didn't like San Francisco's draft again this year, 2nd year in a row. And I think there's Kyle Shanahan's handprints all over it. I thought this Denver draft wasn't good, and Sean Payton's a friend. Why? I think the coach had too much power and say. I think Belichick was a terrible drafter. I think why Kansas City has flourished is because Andy Reid doesn't step in front of Brett Veach. So Schneider's running the show. Well, we don't know if McDonald's a great coach, but I did think, I never watched them. I thought both Arizona and Seattle I watched, and I thought they're actually very well coached. They're not great teams. So I think you get a rookie coach in his 2nd year. I think you get more personnel that fits that rookie coach. And I just trust John's picks and personnel decisions. I would have moved off DK Metcalf. I liked that move. So I like what I see. And I think, it's ridiculous in this league. There's 6 new playoff teams every year. So this idea, you can't just take the same teams. I loved Denver and Washington last year. Nobody else did. I like Seattle this year a lot. I like New England this year a lot. So I think they'll both be playoff teams.
It's hard. I love all that, and I'm with you on a lot of that stuff. I was ready to go on DK, ready to go on Geno. Feel like they've upgraded. Needed to start to build towards what they say they wanted, which was a defensive team with a better offensive line, rather than investing at wide receiver. But if you want to be great, you got to be elite at something, and I think they want to be elite on defense. How close are they to having an elite level defense that can carry them?
Well, I always have this belief. Now, Brock is probably going to push back. I think you have to be really elite at 5 positions. You have to be really good. Like last year, Sam Darnold was elite. I think you have to be elite at head coach, quarterback, left tackle, somebody on the defensive line, and one go-to weapon. I think that's the elite. I don't think you have to have an elite defense to win the Super Bowl. I don't think you have to have the Detroit Lions offensive line. I mean, Washington hammers Detroit. Detroit's got significantly better players. It's just that Washington was way better at one position. So I think it's about positional strength. Do the Seahawks have an elite weapon? I think they have an above average. I think they have a B-plus quarterback. We don't know what Donald is. I don't have Seattle winning the division because I think the Rams actually, between Verse, McVay, Puka Nacua, Matt Stafford, I think they're at the 5 key positions. 4 of the 5, they're elite. I don't think Seattle's in that class, but 14 teams make the playoffs, and I just like their personnel. O-line needs to get better, no question. They addressed that with their first pick, and then later they got a guard. But I think it's more positional. I think the league, because of rule changes, quarterback, offensive coach helps, left tackle, 1 to 2 weapons, and a pass rusher. I think corner now is overrated. I think you can, there's so much motion and multiple sets. I think you can mitigate the importance. I mean, Denver's had great corners. The Jets had the best corners in the league. It didn't mean anything. Jalen Ramsey's bounced around the league. So I think it's just a positional excellence that matters to me.
Yeah, I don't think I push back too much on that, Colin. I think that's fair. Colin Cowherd here with us. When Colin was walking the halls at Ocosta High School out in Westport, was Colin magnetic? Did you have a magnetism back then?
No, I think I was annoying. My sister says that. My mom used to say, and it's so funny because we were so close. 16 years old and you've got all the answers to everything in the world. I can't wait for college.
Wait a minute. I thought your mom was British. I don't hear the British accent there.
I can't wait for you to go to college. Or was that Australian? I think I was a lot. I was a lot. I had a lot of energy, and we didn't have the internet. You didn't have ways to burn the energy. You're at the beach in Grayland, Washington. So, but I knew when I was pretty early, I knew I could make people laugh, and I was a good arguer. So there were things I was okay, but I think I was annoying mostly.
I ask you that because Jordan Palmer said to us yesterday that Jalen was and is the most magnetic guy in this QB class and will have that magnetism the minute he wants. Actually, yeah, you want to fire this up?
This was Jordan Palmer, quarterback coach, talking yesterday about Milroe.
But I think what jumps out and makes me feel like Jalen has, the trajectory that he does is actually not even physical. I just think it's who he is as a guy, and the coaches obviously felt that in the front office. That's why they drafted him. The teammates will feel that as they get to know him better. And I think you guys in the media will as well, that as unique as his physical traits are in terms of his explosiveness, top-end speed, arm talent, and just how dynamic he is, I actually think the traits that are most unique are on the personality side of things in terms of he's like a magnet. He's incredibly likable.
How big a deal is QB magnetism in 2025?
Oh, I think it's big. And he's right. So one of my best friends is Steve Keim, who is the GM of Clutch Sports and represents Jalen. We've been talking about Jalen for months. He's like, this kid is just a wonderful human being. It's funny about people thought Johnny Manziel had it. I tend to think parents matter with quarterbacks. I matured late. I'm a divorced kid. I had to go through a lot of therapy. I think sometimes quarterbacks, they come from strong families, like the Manning family, because you're asked to be really mature at 23. And let's be honest, most of us aren't. It's really cruel and unfair. It's the only position in American sports where at 23, we need you to act like 43. And so, and Jalen's got a great background, great family. He's just a really thoughtful adult, little inconsistent, little mechanical for me as a quarterback, bit mechanical, but easy draft pick. I think there is, how if you're going to go with 3 or 4 guys on a road trip, it's sort of the executor of the will gene. Like if you have 5 kids in the family, who do the parents make executor of the will? You have funnier kids. No, it's my sister. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, I get it.
That's why my sister should have been the quarterback, not me in high school.
All right.
So who's the executor of the will in the family? I need you to be a great athlete and have that DNA. And that's a lot to ask. That's why there's, Brock is a classic example. Brock, you're very mature. You've always been very mature. That's why broadcasting is easy for you. You're a studier. You're a grinder. You're focused. We ask a lot of quarterbacks, and it's just not really – we don't ask that. We don't even ask that from 23-year-old whiz kids in Silicon Valley. We don't ask them to be adults. We ask them to be brilliant. So Jalen's got that that makeup.
30-second answer, which could probably go for an hour, but just based on all of that conversation about him, about Darnold, do you think the Seahawks' next franchise quarterback who will win them multiple playoff games is currently on their roster?
I think Sam Darnold can win playoff games. I think the AFC is harder to win playoff games because the quarterbacks are better. So like Minnesota, and I think Seattle's roster is better than Minnesota's actually, they just don't have Justin Jefferson. I think Seattle's capable of winning multiple playoff games. I think Seattle can do it, the Rams can do it, Philly can do it, Detroit can do it, and that's about it. I have high hopes. And I also think part of life is not you just ascending, it's somebody else descending. I think the Niners have peaked. I said it 2 years ago. They're too old, brittle, and expensive. I picked them for fourth in the division. And I said it last year. I said last year, guys, they have peaked.
Mm-hmm.
If you're paying Brock Purdy $52 million, you have made an egregious error in finance. He is not that. Darnold at mid-30s is a team-friendly deal.
Well, we really do appreciate you guys watching our videos.
And remember, you can like it, you can subscribe it, you can download the Seattle Sports app so you never miss a minute.